Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. You know, yesterday I talked about how I don't like playing the semantics games of the left, where they try to paint us into a corner where we have to support or at least appear to support something that we don't actually support, just so we don't seem like crazed madmen or monsters. Well, today I want to kind of continue that thought because someone brought up in an email last night how the left likes to ask gotcha questions that really make you seem like you're supporting something that you probably shouldn't support if you thought about it, just so you don't seem like a crazy person, like I said a minute ago. One of these questions, which was brought up in the email, was, surely you support background checks. You just don't want anyone to be able to walk in off the street and buy a gun, correct? And most gunners will say, oh, well, of course I support background checks. In fact, even the big gun channels, pretty much every one of them, if you go back through time and look at their stance on this, they have supported background checks. Because if you say no, like I said, you seem like some sort of a monster, some bloodthirsty criminal who just wants everybody to buy a gun and it to be the Old West, blah, blah, blah. You know, that kind of shit that the left tries to paint gun owners as supporting. Well, I have never supported background checks. Well, I did when I was younger because I was stupid. But in recent times, I have not supported background checks. Well, that's why I should also point out that people that have supported it in the past, ask them how they feel now. They might feel differently because people do change. But like I'm saying, most big gun channels, big gun people, even officials, you know, like big leaders in the NRA, etc., have said at one time or another they support background checks. Well, I don't. And when leftists, anti-gunners try to ask this question to paint me into that corner, which they want to paint you into that corner because what you're doing when you say, yes, I support background checks, what you're saying, what you're agreeing to, is that some people shouldn't be allowed to have guns and the government should be able to decide who those people are. That's what you're saying when you support background checks. And I don't support that idea. But there's other reasons I don't support it. Not just because I don't support the government being involved in it, but because it doesn't do anything. That's one reason why I don't support them. There's no evidence that background checks have ever saved a life. Period. Now, I know they'll say, ooh, but we stopped this many million criminals from buying a gun this year because there were this many denials. But then they stop and don't tell you the part where, 90-something% of those were overturned on appeal. And some people just didn't even bother to appeal because of the lengthy process. But the ones that did overturned the vast majority, like 90-something% of those denials. So they didn't stop criminals from buying guns. They just delayed law-abiding citizens from buying guns. And I'm sure there are some people in there that were actually denied for something in their past they didn't even know about, or something that maybe they did know about but hoped that the government didn't. But the vast majority, no, they just stopped a legal citizen from purchasing a gun or delayed them. Sometimes stopped them or at least delayed them. Now, that is not successful as far as I'm concerned. If you can't prove any success, well, then that doesn't validate the government invading and infringing upon your rights. There would have to be ample evidence that it was going to save lives, and then you would even still have to decide, do I want to surrender some of my rights to save lives? Or is it, everybody use your best judgment and try to survive? So the argument would still be open, even if there was proof it worked. But there's no proof that it ever works. It's never saved a life. And there are tons of examples of where people were feeling threatened. They were in a situation where a spouse was threatening them or something, an ex or something, and they went to purchase a gun. And either they were delayed, denied, or had to wait through a waiting period. And in that period, after being denied, or during their waiting period, they were murdered by the person they were fearful of. So there's lots of evidence that background checks and waiting periods, etc., have cost lives. So getting rid of them would probably save lives. That's one of the reasons I don't support them. They are totally ineffective. Let's face it, gangbangers don't just walk in off the street and buy guns. Most of them don't want to spend that kind of money. They can get them cheaper stealing them or trading drugs for them on the street. Criminals, gangbangers, they have ways to get guns. They're going to get them. Background checks don't stop it. The only thing they stop are legal law-abiding citizens. Even people that commit heinous acts, usually interfamiliar acts of violence against someone, They had no history of violence or crimes until, at least not a checkable history of them, until they committed that act. So when they bought their gun, it was totally legal. Didn't stop a crime. So they are totally ineffective. They don't stop any bad guys from getting guns. All they do is delay legal, law-abiding citizens from purchasing a firearm. That's all they do. If someone out there wants to say, well, we have to have them because people that are out of prison that are felons or blah, 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 or being charged with a felony whatsoever, or, whatever the situation, shouldn't be able to walk in and buy a gun. Why not? If they are out of prison, they should be rehabilitated. If they are not, that's a failure of the prison system. We need to reevaluate prisons. Maybe they need to stop being for profit, and maybe we need to quit locking up low-level, morality offenders and actually lock up criminals until they're rehabilitated. And then while they're in, actually offer them the chance to be rehabilitated. Don't just throw them out in a cell and give them cable TV in a weight room and say, well, don't cause any trouble while we make money off of you. Because that's what our prison system does now. So if you want to argue that there's people on the streets that shouldn't be allowed to buy guns, that's an argument against the prison system. It shouldn't invalidate the Second Amendment. If you are a free person in this country, you should be able to walk in, just show your driver's license if they want to know you're of age, and purchase a gun. I shouldn't have to show a driver's license. Because look at me. I'm obviously over 18. So I don't believe in them, like I said, because one, they're ineffective, and two, they are a violation of your rights. Every person has a right. Every free American should have a right to have a firearm. And if the government gets to decide who is worthy of their rights and who isn't, that puts us in a pretty bad situation. And that's where we're at right now, where the government thinks they get to decide who gets to vote, who gets to own a gun, who gets to do what. That's not good. So I don't support gun background checks at all. Haven't for a very long time. I challenge other channels to stand up and also say they don't support them because, like I said, it's just a way for the anti-gunners and the left to use a gotcha question to paint you into a corner where you admit that there has to be gun control because of that dangerous element out there. It's all about fear. It's all about creating fear of your fellow man just because maybe they made a mistake in their past and they went to prison for a year. Well, now they shouldn't have any rights. That's crap. Rehabilitation is real, and that should be our goal of our prison system. So I think in some ways they use the bad prison system. They have no incentive to fix it because it gives them a reason to violate and infringe upon your rights. So what we need to start doing is demanding that prison systems be fixed. That's the main thing. Background checks aren't solving any problems. In fact, they're perpetuating that prison system problem. So when any leftists ask you, well, of course you support background checks, say, no, I do not. Because they don't work, they infringe upon our rights, and they perpetuate a prison system that doesn't rehabilitate anyone. So there's nothing positive about background checks, and I definitely do not support them. All right, everybody, that's it for me today. Now, I'm going to do something here I don't usually like to do. But dire times require dire actions. I want to ask everyone, if you watch my videos, subscribe. The majority of people who watch my videos are not subscribed. So if you watch them, please subscribe. And also hit that little bell icon so you get notified if I put up a new video. But more importantly, you get notified when the live chats go on. We have live chats every day at 6 p.m. except for Monday and Wednesday when they're at 5 p.m. If you want to come to them, if you're subscribed and you have the alerts turned on, you'll get a link every time we start a live chat if you want to come. So please do that. Please subscribe and select the notifications. Turn on notifications. Also, if you want to financially support the channel and the things we do, like Pets and Vets, the Friend Program, TYM if you want to support those things, the best way you can do it is to go over to patreon.com/The Yankee Marshal. There will be a link in the upper corner of this video, along with a link to the live chat tonight, where you can go over and become a supporter. You know, not only support the channel and all the charity acts we perform and support, but also get a chance to win the friend drawing, where every month we draw a friend and they get to spend a gift certificate up to $800 retail wherever they want to spend it. So go on over, support the channel and the charitable works of the channel by becoming a patron. And hopefully we'll be able to do even more this year than we've ever done before. Remember, we got Toy Guns for Tots coming up. So go on over, like I've said, subscribe to the channel, select the alerts, and go over to Patreon and support the channel if you can, because it really does help. And I would greatly appreciate it. And with that being said, I am out of here. I hope you enjoyed the show. I want to thank you for coming. I do appreciate it. I hope to see you again tomorrow. But until then, I want to remind every one of you, remember, always carry and stay safe until I see you again.